You know, in sightings like these, if I was with, I wouldn't say real guests, that's ridiculous, guests that was sitting on my car with me, I don't even think I'd be able to say anything, because it really is so stunning to see black rhino out in the open like this, also with grass up to their chin, and a beautiful tree line and sky, and escarpments in the back. It truly is a breathtaking view. A very, very special place. Not many places you get to see something like this either. A couple of cars driving around too. Lots of vehicles. That's on one of the, that's, yeah, not quite the river road, but that was back there. We think that's where we're going to head to try and find some lions. Look at that. That is just stunning. Now, come away from that bush, please, so we can just get one really good picture. Talking to the rhino, of course. There we go. Listens. Wow. Isn't that amazing? So there we go. That's the view that I was telling you about. Hard to beat that. Really just taking it in as well to see something like this. And very, very peaceful. Now, unfortunately, black rhino have got the stigma attached to them, where dynamite comes in small packages, and that does ring true. But they're actually quite placid most of the time. And if you just give them a bit of room, they're fine. And when I was down in the Eastern Cape, the black rhino became very much habituated to the cars just as lions, and wouldn't mind you at all, and would walk right past the vehicle, which was incredible. And I'll never forget, a friend of mine sent me a video from this reserve saying, basically, to his guests, this black rhino had walked around behind his car, and the rhino was so close that he had to say, yes, don't touch the rhino to his guests, because they'd come that close to the vehicle, and very unusual to see something like that. Oh, and that's nice. The sun has decided to break free of the clouds too. So now you can really see the golden grass. Yes, I think that is the male there. Yeah, he's got the teddy ears. Now, an interesting question from Paula. You're wondering if rhinos are typically solitary, or if they enjoy the company of another. Well, white rhinos are more social than the black rhinos, so you'll find that the male white rhinos mark and defend territories, and we see their territories all over, especially in the Sabi sand. They're very prominent. And then the females typically have a home range, whereas with the black rhinos, it's slightly different. Both male and female will mark and defend territories. However, I've seen some amazing things where we have had large groups of black rhino together. There's been many records of, you know, rhinos coming to drink down at the same watering hole. But with a watering hole, you could understand, because often something as significant as a place to drink, and rhinos need to drink regularly, they will overlap in the various territories. But during courtship, they'll come together, and I've told you a couple of stories about how I've seen sort of different groupings of black rhinos, you know, adult males with groups of females and youngsters, and all very relaxed. Whether they were maybe sub-adults and not quite marking and defending territories, that's definitely a possibility. They weren't really close sightings. They were watched through binoculars, and they were not the calmest, all the black rhino in the Sabi sand. But still very lucky you'd get glimpses of them every now and then. But they're beautiful. And I haven't really seen them coming close to the vehicles. They sort of stay out in the middle where they feel safe. Now, Janice in Canada, you're wondering about the differences between a black and white rhinoceros? Well, it's actually quite simple. Not when they're on their own. It can be quite difficult, especially if you've never seen either species, and maybe this is your first time seeing a black rhino. So black rhino are smaller in size, but they've got very pointy lips. So it's difficult to see it now, though, because they're sort of half their head is tucked below the grass. But if they do come out into shorter grass, you can see it quite easily. So they've got very pointy lips, and the top lip being almost prehensile. They use it like fingers almost to pull leaves off of the trees. And with a white rhino, their head hangs much lower than that of a black rhino, and they've got a big square lip. And that's where the whole confusion came in with a white rhino, was that it was the Weitmondrenoster, the wide-mouthed rhino, but unfortunately communication barriers, and they sort of just went black and white like chess, two complete opposites, but that's not the case. So this is also known as the hook-lipped rhino, and the track is slightly different too. The white rhino track is much larger, as you can imagine, because they weigh a lot more than the black rhino. And black rhino track is slightly more compressed. And that's why, because we saw a black rhino. I don't know if I told you this. Did I tell you that I saw a black rhino in the northern Sabi sand? I've completely forgotten. But yes, so we saw one. Ali and I were very lucky on 2 different occasions. We assume it was the same one. And it's quite a rare sighting to see a black rhino up in the northern sands. And he was beautiful, not having any of it with the vehicle, so quite shy. So you just got quick glimpses of him. I managed to snap 1 or 2 pictures, which was quite nice and very kind of him. And I was convinced that it was a sub-adult rhino, white rhino, that had been walking around, because I just had never seen any black rhino footprints up there. And then when we saw it, I went, you know what, I should have got out and had a proper look. And I didn't. But we got to see it anyway, which was pretty cool. Very windy out here though, so maybe that's why they've also moved out into the open. We know how the wind affects the various animals' senses. So even for rhinos, where their eyesight is not their strongest sense, will come out here. Now, Ali, you're wondering if the rhinos are protected out here in the Mara? Yes, they are. Most rhinos are protected all over the world these days. So there is anti-poaching units that go out on patrol. Last night when we were near the Purungat Bridge, we actually met the warden, Daniel, on that side, which is quite nice. Very important people to get to know, and he was actually heading out. We saw him. He was just coming back from a patrol. I think he said he was going to have go and get changed or have some dinner, and then we bumped into them again. Out they went, and yeah, following the various animals. So not just protecting rhinos specifically, but the elephants, the lions, the cheetah, the leopard, everything out here, even the buffalo, the impala, just making sure all is okay. So you look at that. So that's quite nice interaction to see with black rhino. You don't often get to see them being sort of intimate, if you will, or showing too much affection, other than maybe a mother and calf. So rhino horns are actually very important for a rhino, and they're the only ones that should ever have the need for them. Because of course, you know, that's what rhinos are poached for their horns. And that's one of the reasons what they use their horns for, is they'll greet one another. Just as elephants will lock trunks, or lions will rub heads, leopards will do the same thing, all the cats, you know, do that. That is how rhinos will greet one another. They are very, very affectionate. This is so cool. This is really, really nice. Just standing out, not really worried about a thing. I'd be intrigued, though, to see how close they would wander to the cars. Obviously, everyone's very respectful here of the rhinos, and they know what a special sighting it is, because there aren't many of them. So no one goes off-road chasing after rhino. Everybody sticks to the roads and gives them space. Now, I wonder if they eventually will feel comfortable enough to come towards us. I mean, it's pretty amazing on a day like today, like I said, where the wind is gusting, and we're probably about 100 meters away from them. Yeah, I would say about 100 meters, so we're quite a distance out, and we're very lucky, of course. Things look deceiving because of our fantastic zooms on the cameras. I'm being photographed again. Smile, David. Should I pull a face? Now, I've got a couple of stories to tell you about this, and it's to do with Jacqueline's question, which is what sounds do rhinos make? So they make a variety of different sounds, from grunts and snorts to squeals, and it's an embarrassing story, but you know what, I feel like you all know so much about me already, you probably wouldn't expect it. So I was a very young guy. You know how excited I get about the most ridiculous things. We've just been sitting, beautiful sighting, male and female rhino with a young calf, all interacting. I suspect that the female may have been coming into estrus again, and the male was quite frisky, and he wasn't interested in the calf, but he was interested in her. So anyways, this little one was now obviously moaning that it wasn't getting enough attention. Maybe it wanted to suckle. I don't really know what it wanted. So it started making these very high-pitched squealing noises. Tried to describe it like a dolphin, but it doesn't really sound like a dolphin either, and I'm not going to try and do it. No, David. David's begging, please. Nope. I'm done with embarrassing myself. So anyways, so basically watching us explaining that what this calf was doing, this how this little one was communicating with mom, and it was really nice. Anyway, we moved on. We started watching some elephants that came down to the dam to drink. And the next minute, sort of sitting there and doing this, because I can hear this buzzing noise. And I swear, I just said to him, I actually leant down and I got mosquito repellent out and I said, I can hear the mosquitoes. I think, you don't want to get bitten. And my guest looks at me as if I was a complete idiot and went, it's the rhino making the noise. I genuinely had a moment of relapse and completely forgot that we were even with rhinos and had thought that that high-pitched squealy noise was now coming from behind me. I don't know why, to me it sounded exactly like mosquitoes. So there I was. Very embarrassing. I was also only 19 though, but I feel like that actually doesn't mean anything because I'd probably do something like that today. Oh wow, well there we go. If you were not convinced that these rhinos were relaxed, that should put your mind at ease now. The fact that he has decided to lay down and have a little siesta in the company of all these cars, oh, and her, that is fantastic. That is honestly amazing. So she must be coming into estrus, and that's obviously why he's hanging around. So it'll be exciting to see what happens. And what I'll try and do, though, for the next couple of drives is just popping past here and see if we can't maybe find them and just spend a little bit of time with them every single game drive. Today we're lucky we don't know of any lion sightings, so we need to go and look for them. So that's why we've had an opportunity to spend a bit more time with these rhinos. And they really are fantastic animals. Lovely. Wow, okay. Seeing as though this lot is going to have a little sleep now, I think that we might move on and go and search for all sorts of wonderful things. We'll give them a bit of a break. However, Brent is out and about and he had his heart set on finding the big cats. And I'm sure he'll be hot on their heels.